This is a podcast from the Nuffield Department of Medicine. Today we speak with Dr. Georgina Humphreys about her role as a malaria scientific coordinator. Hello.
Hello.
Can you tell us about your role as a malaria scientific coordinator for WWARN?
Well, my role as the malaria scientific coordinator is to drive the scientific output that we generate from pooled analyses of collected data. The data is from a whole network of collaborators from across the world, collected from clinical trials on anti-malarial drugs. And the primary purpose is really to analyse the efficacy of those drugs currently available. And we do that by analysing the pooled data that's shared with all these collaborators on specific scientific questions.
What are the current issues when working on malaria?
Well, at the moment, WWARN is focusing on some pooled analyses on particular areas of interest, which we are able to ask of the large data sets that we have that couldn't be asked of a smaller clinical trial, normal sized data set. So for instance, some of our areas of research at the moment are on subpopulations of patients that receive anti-malarials. That might be quite a small number of people in a normal sized clinical trial, but when you pull together tens of thousands of patient data that we have, you can really start to tease out some of the drug efficacy questions within those minor subpopulations. So for instance, at the moment we're looking at maybe particular subpopulations of children that are malnourished, or subpopulations of children with severe anemia, and seeing how just within those populations the drug is really working, whether it's effective or not.
Can you tell us about your research?
So my research is not primarily just driven by me, but the whole point of WWARN is that it's a network of researchers. And what's exciting about my role is the connection to researchers all over the world who pull together to collaborate through what we call study groups, where we ask a question, and sometimes that question is generated internally, but sometimes externally, that's of great relevance to the field. So last year I was lucky enough to work on the gametocyte study group, and gametocytes are a form of the parasite which are important for transmission, onward transmission from the human to the mosquito. And we pulled together over 150 studies involving hundreds of different researchers from all over the world who had data sets where they had measured these gametocytes in the patients given an anti-malarial drug. And we finally published that paper which demonstrated that some of the drugs do have a different effect on gametocyte carriage in the patients, which obviously is important in terms of then onward transmission of malaria in those endemic countries.
What are the most important lines of research that have developed over the past 5 or 10 years?
Well, I think in malaria, for sure, the biggest challenge that we've had is about growing resistance. And that's resistance to drugs and, of course, resistance to insecticides. So those are the two big challenges. And the current treatment regimens that are available to those in endemic countries are the ACTs, the artemisinin combination therapies, and we've already seen very worrying signs of resistance to both the artemisinin and the partner drug it's partnered with in Southeast Asia in the Greater Mekong region. So at WWARN we are concentrating on trying to support researchers in the field to answer questions like, where is the best place to sample next? Where should we be looking for the boundaries of the resistant parasite population that might be spreading? Or is it occurring independently in different locations? And so keeping monitoring up to a high enough level so that we can keep an eye on resistance and try and contain it if possible.
Why does your research matter? Why should we put money into it?
The research questions that WWARN asks are extremely important and possible through, as I've described, the fact we have these large data sets from the pooled network. It's of critical importance to maintain the last few drugs that are efficacious currently. And to do that, we need to have a good picture on where the drug's working or where it's starting to look like it's failing. And that's of critical importance to the patients on the ground because that's all they've got left at the moment. And as you'll know, the rate of new drug production is slow, and there's not always many in the pipeline coming along. So we need to try and preserve the drugs that we've got, keep them as effective as possible, and try and protect those populations that are still very vulnerable to the disease.
How does your research fit into translational medicine within the department?
Our research has direct impacts on policy. We've had a good example of a study group where the output of the study group led directly to rewriting of the drug treatment guidelines because we demonstrated that the dosing regimen wasn't quite correct for the youngest children. But I think also what's brilliant about the WARN network is really supporting young researchers out in the field trying to run trials and connecting with them and saying, how can we support you? What can you use? What can we develop that you can use? So we're looking at developing tools and resources, helping to guide standardization in data collection in new trials, and helping people to progress through their careers too.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.